Welcome, Heaven on Earthers, to this transmission of Divine Within. I thank you for co-creating this moment here with me. My name is Lucian. I am your host and Divine Embodiment Coach. And here on Divine Within, we remember that the power is within, that reality bends from within, that the kingdom is within. And this is the only SP video you will ever need. I don't teach people to get stuff because stuff is not the point. It's a benefit, right? Because you are the manifestation. You are manifesting in every single moment. You are an individualized expression of the all that is. The materialization is the crystallization, is the appearance of your attunements, your state of being, of your conscious and unconscious agreements. But the stuff is not the point. That's when we focus on the stuff, we're focused on the effect, not realizing that we're the cause. And that's why you need to read the Heaven on Earth Source Codex, the HO Source Codex, that is available to you below for free because it provides language. Here's the thing, I'm not teaching you anything. I'm helping you to remember. And you summoned me. You co-created this moment to help me help you remember. The Heaven on Earth Source Codex provides language and provides structure to everything you came here to embody as a divine creator, as divinity incarnate. So check it out. Every single thing I have to say comes from one point or another within the Source Codex. If you ever ask me a question, we will be referring to the Codex. My answers will be a product of the Codex. If you enroll in coaching with me, we will be filtering all of your questions through the Codex. So read the Codex, and other stuff's there as well. The podcast, the written word, the Liberation Chronicle, which is the weekly newsletter, my poetry, my musings, my daily thoughts. It's Substack's really kind of a social media of a more specific sort. You get writers on there, you get artists, thinkers, philosophers. So check that out as well. Again, all there, all available to you. Today's message is brought to us by Share. I was listening to 80s on 8, Sirius XM, and I heard We All Sleep Alone by Cher came out in 1987. The lyrics, man, I was just listening to the radio, right? Because I love the 80s. I was just listening, and I was like, what? She was out here telling us, this is the only SP video that you'll ever need from We All Sleep Alone, Cher 1987, lyric being, no one nowhere holds the key to your heart. When love's a possession, it'll tear you apart. Just that alone. That's it. Video over, right? That's it. We don't need to talk more about it. Nobody nowhere holds the key to your heart. When love's a possession, it will tear you apart. Nobody nowhere holds a key to your heart. When love's a possession, it'll tear you apart. And what does this take us out of? The idea that we are to chase the effect. We're brought up, we're conditioned to worship the world of the 3D. This is a side note, but I believe that the true Satanists of the world are not the people on freaking whatever grove with that owl and, the Illuminati and doing all these rituals and Super Bowls and the royal family in the UK. All that stuff's happening. Sure. But I think Satanism is much more common, is much more everyday than whatever Jay-Z's doing. And the triangle in and of itself is not even a bad thing. I think Satanism, this is my definition of Satanism, is material worship. That's it. I think true Satanism is worship by way of separation, worship of the illusion of separation, which brings us to material worship. I think most Christians are closer to the Antichrist than the people that they would actually call are the Antichrist. Now, that's going to ruffle some feathers, and I don't mind sometimes. I don't know how it is that Christians find this channel, but sometimes they do, and they're not very happy about the things I have to say, which is, they don't have to be. They don't have to be. I think Satanism is much more common than we think, because aren't we all conditioned with the idea that I am to interact in the outside world, in the 3D, in the external, by way of force, persuasion, begging, seduction. I've got to bring things to me. I'm attracting the world around me. I'm forcing outcomes, attempting to. I'm afraid that if said outcomes don't occur, then I'm going to feel X, Y, and Z. That is all of us living the world through the outside in, meaning I'm allowing the outside to, so we're talking structure here. And all of this has to do with point 4, power placement on the Heaven on Earth Source Codex, the Ho Source Codex, which you should read. It will help you. It's there for free. I get, if you don't read it, it doesn't help or hurt me, but it will help or hurt you. So it's just to help you remember. But we're talking about power placement. So we're worshiping the outside external environment. And I think that that's, I don't necessarily even believe in like the figure of Satan as like a red man, but it's us buying into this idea, which is not the idea, the paradigm that we've been conditioned with, that I have to force the outside world to look the way I want it to. And because force never works, or it does for a very temporary period of time, then I'm going to feel a certain way, which is going to lead me to lack, to victimhood, to scarcity, to shame. I'll accept a certain amount of that as normal in my life, and I'll walk with my head down and maybe create a certain amount of defenses to hide said internal shames and insecurities and pains and conditionings from childhood, because I don't believe that I can get what I want in life. Having everything to do, all of that having everything to do with material worship, with the idea that what I want and everything that I desire is outside of me. You're in a one-to-one relationship with everything you see. Everything is already here, but it's a matter of what you choose to observe by way of your attunements, by way of your state of being, by way of what you're focusing on, your predominant emotions, and how you think about yourself relative to the world, that all creating a timeline. And the timeline that you're living on, you can't change the events in that timeline, but you can always align to a new timeline. You can always decide that this script is not working for me, and I'm not going to continue to agree with the truth of this script as the total, as the all. Everything is possible for me because I'm an individualized expression of the all that is. So what the hell was Cher talking about? Nobody nowhere holds the key to your heart. When love's a possession, it'll tear you apart. Talking about SPs. It's the only SP video you'll ever need, because you are the SP. It's you. If you get left, if you get ghosted, if you get cheated on, that is you doing that to yourself through the appearance of somebody else, because you have charged their being in your life. I mean, if we think about, I've talked about it this way too, if we think about everything in life as representative. So nothing is in and of itself by itself. Every representation you have is only a product of what you believe it to be. So there are some people who charge the picture of their boss, right, as tyrannical, as dismissive, as narcissistic, because that's their idea of what an authority figure looks like. And they learned that as a result of the past. Everything that we attach any meaning to, that meaning was created and learned and reinforced through a certain amount of times at some point in time. Nothing is inherent in and of itself, because I've coached individuals that seem to find the exact same boss everywhere they go, and that has everything to do with their parental relationships and or their idea of what authority is, and not anything to do with who that person actually is in and of their essence. They're just observing a certain timeline of that representation, and they are the substance. You are the substance of all reputations. You're the substance. Yes, that too. You are the substance of all representatives in your life. You are charging. So when we see that picture of that boss, you are charging what your assignments, your agreements, what you've paid attention to, and what's emotionally important to you. You have charged that outside representation of that boss with yourself, with your observation. You are the narcissist. I used to do several years ago, close to a decade ago, I used to do people-pleasing coaching, right? Because I had business coaching. They said, coach on the very first thing you overcome yourself. And so I became a people-pleasing coach, and I was on TikTok. God, I hate TikTok. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff there, but it's not for me. I hate short form content. But the hardest thing, and I saw person after person, and I've experienced across the field of mental wellness in a variety of different roles. But in that role as a coach, helping people pleasers, the number one thing that was so hard for them to accept is they are the selfishness that they're observing. So it's all about integration, right? They are the selfishness that they're observing in the narcissist. Now, I'm not saying that anybody deserves any level of abuse that they're experiencing. I'm saying like they are the abuse. That is what they, through conditioning, they have come to accept as normal in their reality. That normalcy within has crystallized into form, into being, into a materialization by way of the accepted manifestation, which is the decision within. And that's what they're seeing on the outside. That they have created a representation of somebody who is domineering, who is controlling, who is self-consumed, who is parasitic, because they have accepted that as a normalcy of what it means to be in close relationship with someone. So they're seeing their representation of the substance, they're seeing their own substance that they have charged that representative being with, that representative being that other person. Think of everything in your life as just a shell, and whatever it means is what you're charging it with. It has no power in and of itself on its own. So it was the hardest thing. The people, because the people pleaser thinks that they're, so this has everything to do with SPs. We're getting there. The people pleaser thinks that they're benevolent, right? That they don't have a selfish bone in their body. And it's like, no, you were taught to appease other people around you in order to keep yourself safe, which is incredibly intrinsically selfish. And that doesn't mean it's right or wrong, but it does mean that it is self-concerned. It is self-motivated. And that you're seeing the shadow aspect of that self-concern. You're seeing the shadow aspect of you that you have dissociated from yourself in the representative form of the substance of another person. You're seeing yourself. And I wasn't speaking quite as metaphysically at that point in time. It was really more mindset and like recognition. I wasn't even using terms like shadow integration, but recognition of the traits of oneself that appear to be present in the presentation of other people, and how to minimize that, with boundaries and with emotional autonomy, with unconditional allowance, with setting limits on what we are willing to endure per close relationships, some traumatic processing, most of it's traumatic processing. Because it's like, where did we learn that this was okay? So I was speaking in a different language, but it's all the same shit. It is all the same shit. So it's so hard, the things that we see in the world, they're you. So this might have seemed off base, but it's not. Whatever you're seeing in your SP, if they're dismissing you, if they're ignoring you, if they're playing hot and cold, is because you're not staying in the reality where they are with you and you two are happy. Whatever the hell happy means for you, Jesus Christ, what a subjective word that is. Figure out what your relative heaven on earth looks like. That's the task that we all have here, because it is available here to us now. But you're not staying there. You are being hot and cold with yourself. You are wavering in decision. You are using the circumstance to determine, does this person like me? Does this person not like me? You make a decision, and the decision is not, it's not necessarily based on this is what the outcome will be, and because of that, then I'm going to feel a certain way. It's just like, no, like if you had your SP, you would know you were loved, you would know you were abundance, you would know that you're attracted, you would know that you're wanted, you would know that you're desired, you would know that you're needed, and you would know that life's a good time. Generally, everybody has a different variation as to what all those things mean, and yes, you can visualize and see yourself with that person, but like, who would you be? It's not a question of how are they, I mean, it can be, in terms of, I guess, a permission slip, how would they make me feel? But that still comes back to the self. So if you're in a state of self where I feel unsure about if I'm wanted or not because I'm getting hot and cold signals from this person, then you are in a state of self that is accepting hot or cold signals as evidence to your authority and identity. And you are the all that is. So anything you choose to observe and align with and say that this is who I am, this is the decision I'm making about what's possible for me in my reality, and I'm zoning in on that and saying that this is the absolute truth. And because I don't see consistency within this person's behavior, I don't feel consistent about myself. Well, that's what you're witnessing. That has nothing to do with the other person. Screw the other person. Screw the SP. You are the SP. If you are love, love will be reflected back to you. And you are going to have to do some internal auditing as to what love looks like for you. Because if love looks like controlling another person, having them act a certain way, being dependent upon what they bring to you, if you're not the source of all that you seek, if you don't live as a source of all that you seek, you will always stay in a state of seeking. You will feel separate from that which you are, because you are then charging with your creative essence as the all that is. You are then charging the script of that relationship with, I don't get what I want, and that makes me feel X, Y, and Z. Because I feel X, Y, and Z, I believe these amount of things are true about myself. I'm struggling, I don't have my SP. It has nothing to do with the SP. It has everything to do with who you are being. Are you the person for which, through whom, as an individualized expression of the all that is, that gets what they want? As if you're somebody that's like, I don't know if I get what I want. I wait on the circumstance and the 3D to tell me. Well, that will be a never-ending cycle of disempowerment and victimization. And ghosting, why'd they leave? Things were good. What happened? It's nothing to do with them because they're you. Their representation in your life is charged with the substance of your determination. Write that down. And read the Heaven on Earth Source Codex, because we're talking about power placement here. Where is the power placed? Which takes us back to point one, which is positioning. It's all the same thing. Like, the Codex just places, everything that I've learned in succinct language. That's everything you already know in a specific sequence. And it's not even about, you have to do these steps, because there are no steps. You're manifesting all the time. Nobody needs to teach you to manifest. We're talking about, in this particular transmission, where to place your power and positioning as the all it is. But nobody needs to teach you to manifest. Aligning your attention, attuning, focus, state of being. Sure, you can engage information to learn how to live more intentionally as the divinely incarnate being that you are, but that's just the truth of it. Nobody needs to teach you how to be divine within. So nobody nowhere holds the key to your heart. When love's a possession, it'll tear you apart. There's nothing for you to take. There's nothing for you to get. Because think about a possession, something that this belongs to me. But when we're talking about love, like this person's love belongs to me. Well, that's when shit goes left. That's when everything goes sideways. I'll tell you that firsthand. We try to own somebody. Own yourself. And you know that because I own myself, because my power is located within myself, I don't need to control what they're doing. They're going to reflect me back to myself. If I'm being dishonest with myself, or if I believe that all people are dishonest with me, again, I'm charging that belief with my creative power, then that's what I'm going to see. I don't need to check their phone to see if I don't need to look at the external to see if they're lying to me. Am I lying to myself, or do I believe that people lie to me? Because that's what I'm seeing. It has nothing to do with them. It's the only SP video you will ever need. You don't need to possess somebody's heart. You know that you already have ownership of your own. You come into harmony with that. You connect to yourself. You meditate. You turn your eyes away from the world. And you'll see that everything before you is just reflecting you back to you. You are the SP. Read the Codex. Read the Source Codex. The podcast Dispatches from the Edge of Obvious, and the written word, again, is available to you all in the show notes down below. I thank you for tuning in. I thank you for liking. I thank you for subscribing. Share this with somebody who is struggling with their love life, if they're into the metaphysical, non-dual side of things. Share this with someone that you know is having a problematic relationship with the things that they are seeing, because any problems that we see on the outside are problems on the inside. But I'll wrap this up. I'll shut up. I am done now. If you'd like more guidance in a personalized, supported way, that is available to you down for low. You can hop down below. But I mean, for low, the prices are good too. So I guess that's maybe where I was going for that. Prices are good too. Check that out. And until next time.